It's certainly an attempt to twist arms. It's certainly an attempt to put an extreme timeline on the next week, where apparently there's going to be an announcement of a new tariff rate based on some of these grievances that he's listed in the post that you shared just a moment ago. He obviously refers directly to dairy and directly to the digital services tax. And those are two areas that have been, hinted at before as areas that Trump is going to try to expand U.S. economic power in Canada, and now we're seeing that begin. And of course, we also have Canada announcing a few days ago getting closer with the European Union, and we have also, of course, Mark Carney's successfully getting the bill C5 passed through the Parliament to fast track various economic and energy projects around the country, and proclaiming that this is how Canada can start to be more independent of the United States. And just a couple of days ago, he was on CNN saying that he thinks that Trump is not going to try to annex Canada anymore. So, of course, this is all, I think, an important context to keep in mind for trying to make sense of what Trump is trying to achieve now.
Well, trying to make sense is right. At the G7 just last week, there seemed to have been, quite cordial diplomatic relations between Mark Carney and Donald Trump. They held a press conference together, and Donald Trump acknowledged their different approaches, but it still seemed to be quite complementary. How surprising is this news today?
It's a bit shocking. I'm not entirely personally surprised by it. I feel that the sovereignty debate is something that Trump has certainly never moved past. If we think about the also recent developments out in Alberta around possibly some levels of increased polling support, especially in rural areas in Alberta, for various forms of either separation or just independence or sovereignty in Alberta, we can see that there's an attempt to also drive a wedge into Canadian politics. Because on the one hand, we have the dairy sector, which is quite powerful in Quebec, and Mark Carney's minority government really heavily depends on both liberal votes that got MPs in Quebec, and also the Bloc's willingness to give Carney time to govern with a minority, so sort of informally agreeing to not put forth a vote of no confidence. Alberta wants its own sovereignty as well, and is often invoking the Quebec model to say what it wants. And at the same time, we know that the C5 bill for energy projects is something that Quebec has objected to in terms of forcing pipelines onto Quebec. And we know Dave Eby has also said that he's not a fan of changing Bill C69 and allowing for pipelines to be built over the consent of the provinces. He's just said so just a few days ago. Mm-hmm. So this sets up a situation where Trump can really break Canada's fragile coalition governing order and possibly encourage separatist sentiment in Alberta.